And welcome to the SpartanMag.com VCast. Jim Comparoni, Paul Konyndyk, Breslin Center. Michigan State defeats Michigan 81-62. The game is on Peacock. Some of the subscribers may not have seen the game. Most people do have Peacock, but a lot don't. Interesting game, entertaining game. Michigan made Michigan State work. Michigan showed up, played well the first 15 minutes, and then Michigan kind of checked out and did what kind of they've been doing, exemplary of some of the problems they're having. But Michigan State, through portions of the second half, really got it going. Jaden Akins, huge day from three-point range, something this team needs going forward if they're going to get big wins down the road. But first things first, Michigan State has to get their head above 500 in the Big Ten. They have to get into the tournament. Usually what we're talking about when you head into February is whether Michigan State's in the Big Ten race. They're not. And then what you talk about is getting their crap together in time for tournament time. Well, first things first, they got to get in the tournament, which still is not a foregone conclusion at this point. Got to rack up some wins. This is the time of the year when Michigan State should be able to surge based on the schedule. But that schedule, there's a lot of teams. At Penn State, at Michigan's not going to be easy. Maryland's coming here on Saturday. Maryland's playing really well right now. So finding those wins is going to be difficult, and likely as difficult as this game was in the first half. Michigan State, looking at this game, Michigan, great shooting in the early going through about the first 15 minutes, over 70%. But they never built a double-digit lead. As well as they were shooting, Michigan State was shooting around 50. They were hanging in it. Akins was keeping them in it. Malik Hall was keeping them in it. The place was packed. Cohen Carr with a big blocked shot 5 minutes ago in the first half. That helped Michigan State get ignited a little bit to own the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. And they turned it around from there.
I think, well, first off, Michigan's done this to a lot of teams, a lot of good teams, maybe teams that are better than Michigan State. Like Michigan's been in these games for a half, and I think the big difference. I've watched a few Michigan games this year, but this is as good as I've seen them execute in the first half. You look at inbounds plays out of timeouts. They ran good stuff. They screened well, physical screens, and they got separation. And their guards, they were ready to shoot. And I think that's what they have to do on the road without Doug McDaniel. They don't have a guy that they can rely on, maybe with the shot clock winding down necessarily. So they have to be able to execute stuff and run stuff at a high level. Michigan State, I think, A.J. Hoggard wasn't very good early. I mean, I think Akins, like you said, kept him in it. Tyson Walker missed open shots. Walker got as clean a look as I've seen him get on the very first play of the game, where he came off the baseline and he was wide open. He missed an open shot, but he did not shoot the ball well in this game. In Michigan State, for all the talk that Izzo had this week about wanting to get rebounds and have the guards get rebounds, I think they had 6 first-half rebounds. I mean, as a team, and the guards had 0, and that's because Michigan shot as well as they did. But I feel like in the second half, Michigan State didn't play poorly in the first half, but in the second half they did little things, dirty work, the extra hustle. Like in the first half, there's a play where A.J. Hoggard thinks that Michigan player touched the ball, and it was going to come back to, and it was going to be go to Michigan State. Well, it didn't. It went to Michigan. In the second half, that wouldn't have happened. Like you saw guys running down loose balls. You saw guys like Tyson Walker tearing the ball away from Michigan big, turning that into points. You saw a lot more of the dirty work plays, the winning plays this time, as I would call them, and that kind of led to kind of like it was a wellhead for Michigan State, and Michigan did what they do when they face a run. They fell apart.
They did. When Michigan State started throwing punches back, Michigan just kind of punched out and quit. So a question I've got for you, in about 2.5 weeks, they're going to play again in Ann Arbor. Doug McDaniel's going to be there. Can Michigan sustain what they did for 18 minutes here for 40 minutes and beat Michigan State in Ann Arbor in a couple weeks? So of course they can. What do you think about that game 2.5 weeks out?
I mean, they beat Michigan State last year in Ann Arbor. Of course, that came directly on the heels of the shooting incident on campus, and I don't think Michigan State's guys were right. In that game, Michigan shot lights out. Michigan can beat Michigan State, but it'll take foul trouble for Michigan State. It'll take one of the things I think hurt Michigan State in the first half is Tyson Walker picks up a foul in that first 60 seconds of the game, and he can't be as aggressive as he normally is on defense. And I think that hurt Michigan State. But if there's foul trouble in that game, if Michigan State gets in serious foul trouble, yeah, they can get upset in Ann Arbor. If Michigan State plays with the intensity and the hustle plays that they did in the second half of this game, I think they can win in Ann Arbor. And one of the things I'd say to you is it's not like Michigan State was completely rewarded for playing with more energy. Usually you see the teams that play with more energy end up at the free throw line a whole lot. The free throw disparity in this game was Michigan State went 4 for 8 from the free throw line, and Michigan shot 26 free throws. And some of those were, I swear to God that Izzo was close to getting a technical several times in the last 5 minutes of this game because he did not like where the free throw situation was at, and he felt, and a lot of players felt, like they weren't getting the calls that they normally would for being the aggressor.
That's strange to see a free throw disparity like that, 26 attempts to 8 attempts, and the team with the 8 attempts wins.
I mean, you see that with like against Purdue where you have the guy inside overpowering you. Michigan did not overpower Michigan State.
You don't see that from a losing team with
right.
that kind of disparity.
And the other thing I would say is you go about that game in Michigan. If Malik Hall plays as good defensively against Olivier Kamwa as he did tonight and is able to score at the rim the way he did tonight, if Hall gets the advantage of Kamwa at Michigan, I like Michigan State's chances.
And the Kamwa is a very good player. Today, Izzo was very happy with the way they kept a lid on him. 9 points. That's a guy that can stretch the floor and shoot some threes. They got threes from other people. But Malik Hall, it was interesting what Izzo said about Malik Hall. He said, we played our own version of bully ball. Right. Now, Michigan State will take cues from other teams, other things that they have trouble defending. Michigan State will turn that around and experiment with some things. And today, Malik Hall backing down for his own shot and backing down, double team come, drop it down to, I think, Carson Cooper for a layup. That's an interesting thing for Michigan State to do. They don't always have to go with their guards to get offense. Sometimes they can go to some other areas. It's still a work in progress, but Malik Hall now has had, about 8 good games out of 9, and he's consistently put up double figures. The rebounding, only 3. Izzo says he'll get on his back about that a little bit.
That's a problem.
But Malik Hall, when the offense goes through him, he's making good decisions. He's shooting some of those followaways, makes a good percentage of them. Not a whole lot, do I think, that he's kind of, does it go in and not come back out when it should? I think they've gotten some pretty good balance from there. What do you think about that part of the team, Malik Hall, and the low post game, and how that's been spliced into the team this season?
I think a lot of people make too much out of lack of low post scoring for Michigan State. I really do. I think it's the easiest thing to do is look at a score sheet and say this guy scored this or that, and then say, oh, they're terrible inside. My big thing, and I was thinking about this a lot today, my big thing is how many points are your bigs giving up? I would much rather, you want a guy that you can rely on to get the ball inside and score, but I would much rather have a big that can dunk the ball and play ball screen defense and take away points from other teams than have someone that's going to, like a Nick Ward, who's going to be able to score inside, rebound the ball, but also give up a crap ton of points. And I was thinking about Michigan State when they became really good in 2019, that run to the Final Four. There's no coincidence in my mind that when Ward was injured, Xavier Tillman comes in and takes over as a starter, and he wasn't scoring a lot. And a lot of people were upset about him, saying, oh, he's terrible, he can't do this, he can't do that, but he could rebound and he could play defense, and that was the reason Michigan State went to the Final Four that year. Now, Tillman developed some more offense to his game, and, revisionist history looking back, you see what he does in the NBA and think, well, he's doing it at Michigan State. Well, he wasn't. So my thing is, it's nice to have inside scoring, but it's really hard to have inside scoring when the defense doesn't have to account for a stretch floor. Everything gets shrunk in. So my long answer to your question is, I like what Malik Hall did today. He wasn't able to do that in the first half as much, and he isn't going to be able to do that against maybe teams like Purdue, teams like Wisconsin, who kind of like shrink everything in. They're going to give him the three-point line, dare him to shoot from the outside. And I still think when you look at the ceiling of this Michigan State team, the fact that Malik Hall doesn't have the confidence to drop a three-pointer when people are 3 steps off of him and would rather dribble into traffic and try to hit a tough fall-away jumper instead of taking an open 3. That's to me is a problem. Now, he did it today against Kamwa. I was more impressed with what he did defensively, being physical with him, and also he took some fadeaway shots, but he also drove to the basket. He had a harder time when he's matched up against Reed. That happened more in the first half, but he got the better of the matchup with Kamwa. But he needs to be able to rebound.
Yeah.
And he needs to be able to hit open threes. And because Jaden Akins isn't going to have a night like this, and there might be other nights where Tyson Walker's not hitting. Trey Holloman isn't comfortable knocking down threes all the time, and you don't want to rely on Hogard. You got to have that stretch element because as much as we talk about the inside game and what they're not doing, they have less room to operate than they had a year ago when Joey Hauser was out there.
Absolutely. But
pulling them away from the.
But the thing about Hall, though, I mean, Michigan State went on a 7-2 run at the beginning of the second half, and he made a real nice play along the baseline. That was a nice skill, physical play against Naquara. And then later, he kind of had like an up and under counter and like this crazy scoop shot that we've not seen from him. He's kind of going into the bag of tricks a little bit for some scoring down there. And I realize it's not like you're sending it down there to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But he's not the 5, he's 4, obviously.
Right.
So if the other team doesn't have a 4 that can play post defense, Michigan State can go down there and get some points out of that. Now, it'd be great if he could go in there and get that and stretch the floor like Joey Hauser. Then you got a second-team All-Big Ten guy. But he's not developed the outside shot, and we were going to be watching that all season. But the things he's doing in the post, and Izzo will tell you, those are things that Malik Hall was not crazy about doing earlier in his career. But for this Michigan State offense, which is offensively challenged in a lot of ways, they don't have low post scoring from the 5. They don't have stretch shooting from the 4. They've got guards that can shoot it. They need a few other things, and Hall's starting to give them some of that in the post back to the basket. And also shot fake, medium range face up. We didn't see a lot of that from him tonight, but some versatility from Malik Hall from 16 feet in. You got to like that. He's not everything, but the things that he is need to be appreciated now, and I think that he helped keep the ship steady today.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you're saying. What I'm just simply put, what I said in that long rambling thing. Against some teams, he's not going to be able to do that because there's going to be so many bodies in there. I just don't think he can. I don't think he can get some of the stuff he got today. Now, against Wisconsin, for instance, he wouldn't have been able to get that. In my opinion, he's done some really good job, done some really good things with the tools that he has. But for him to be, for Michigan State to be the best version of themselves, he needs to rebound. He has to get more than 3 rebounds. He has to get in my opinion, a minimum of 5 rebounds. You'd like to see him get 5 to 7.
And when he gets a rebound, it looks impressive.
It does.
And you're wondering how come there aren't more of those, And he's a mindful kid. He's a kid who wants to do things well. So it's not like he's being casual and buying a ticket and spectating. He said, but when he gets a rebound, he's like, man, that's kind of impressive.
But honestly, Jim, I honestly think that he really has to put his mind to being physical. It doesn't come natural. There's a couple times today where he was very physical. He had that one little duck in play where he sent his defender flying, and but he's not always like that. It's been a fight with him. It's not his nature to be physical, but this team needs him to be more physical, and it was good to see him do that today. And him being physical led to some other things. I think he was physical. You saw Carson Cooper make some hustle plays. You saw Jaden Akins make some hustle plays. And Michigan State just was flat out more aggressive in that second half. But again, some of that may be fool's gold because in a lot of ways Michigan did quit after they got hit with the run. Michigan State took momentum of this game. Michigan was a token defense, and they were giving up stuff to the basket that they weren't giving up earlier in the game. You think of that one Trey Holloman drive, backside on defense. That was just like.
And then Walker had one a few seconds after that, right?
Right, and then the worst thing that I saw today was A.J. Hogard when he was trying to come in and hammer dunk it, and the lane parted like it was a Red Sea, and the biblical story. Hogard misses the dunk, but that looked like Moneyball. That looked like something in a pro-am where someone doesn't want to get on a poster, and you can't. I've never seen that in Big Ten play against a Big Ten team, and Michigan State's not going to see a team like that that quits the rest of the Big Ten unless they get up on Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan State went into halftime down by 2, and apparently Davis Smith had a big rah-rah speech at halftime. Akins talked about it, Hogard talked about it, Izzo mentioned it. Davis Smith, a walk-on, everybody knows is Steve Smith's son. He's been on the program and with the program for a long time. And this game was hanging in the balance at halftime, and I'm sure Izzo had a lot of things to say at halftime, but Izzo's quote was, "I didn't have to say much because Davis Smith said it all." I didn't get all the specifics on that, but that's good. You got a walk-on guy coming in and kicking some guys in the rear. And some guys will take it from him because they have a lot of respect for Davis Smith.
Yeah, and I think a guy like Hogard, you look at the first half play, the play he had in the first half, it wasn't very good. And he made some selfish plays, in my opinion. He tried to drive into some stuff that he shouldn't have. I think he had a couple passes that were questionable. I don't
know if it's selfish or I think it's overzealous. Because I don't think he's doing it for him. I think he wants to help the team. It's just, it's just a tough decision.
I understand, but you do it when you can do it, and it wasn't cleared out. In the second half, all those drives to the basket were there. The first half, they weren't. And I saw him turn down plays for his teammates to try to drive into traffic. And then when he made a pass that maybe could have been handled by an All-Big Ten player, but wasn't by a guy with questionable hands, today I saw him chirp at teammates a little bit more than usual.
There was a screen roll to Cooper when Cooper didn't roll.
Right.
And then Izzo, they came to the bench, and Izzo calmly talked to both of them and got it straightened out.
Right.
Because Hogard was chirping at him hard, like the old Hogard would do.
But there were some other plays, too, where, where Hogard, he had bad body language. It was the bad AJ. And so I think when you have a guy like Davis Smith or other people step up and kind of pair it with the coach is saying, but put it in a player's terminology, and when they see the stuff, when the guys on the bench see the stuff going on in the game, the coach sees, and they're able to communicate that with players, you can have meaningful change. AJ Hogard was a completely different player in the second half, and I give him a lot of credit in this game. There's a lot of times he got the ball to Jaden Akins. We've seen in the past, they kept on feeding the ball to Jaden Akins, and Hogard did a really nice job. I thought Hogard did a nice job of balancing his role as facilitator as well as a scorer on a night where he was chasing 1,000 points, and he did get there, to his credit. But a little bit different body language, a little bit different attitude for the entire team. And the same swagger that Akins brought on offense in the first half, you saw it on defense as well. He made some real good hustle, 50-50 plays, Charlie Bell-type plays in the second half. And Cooper, even though he didn't roll on that play, and he did deserve some ire, he had one of the best transition, finishes that we've seen from a big, where he beat Michigan's defense on the court, caught the ball with two hands, finished, and had an and-one opportunity, which he converted. That was a big deal. Had another one where he dove out of bounds, saved the ball. I think it went to Akins for maybe another shot. Someone scored at that point, but we saw a lot of 50-50 plays and diving on the floor that we didn't see in the first half. And if Michigan State wants to beat teams in their peer group, like a Maryland, you got to have that for 40 minutes.
Yeah, Cooper had a drop step right around the rim and missed another one.
Yeah.
His footwork has been good. He's getting good shots up that are kind of not going in. He's worked on his moves, and his moves look good in a lot of ways, but not finishing. I think that'll come at some point in his career. And he's not a guy that's finishing. He's not a skillful guy, but he's kind of getting there. But the point you're talking about, the rebounding, some hustle plays, just go out there and be a 6'10" spaz. You can use that. Give me a spaz.
If you can play ball screen defense, man.
Yeah, that's.
In this game,
yes.
You talk about mismatches, and one of the things I think Michigan State did a poor job, speaking of ball screen defense and switches and everything that happens in basketball. Tyson Walker turned down 3 shots in the first half when he was matched up on Terrace Reed. I do not know what is up with that.
He was trying to drive on him, but
no. But I'm saying you get a switch.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a center on you. That is automatic. For a guy as good a shooter as he is, he doesn't need to drive. He doesn't need to drive on him, especially when they've got other guys around the rim. Everyone. When he puts the ball on the floor, he's going to drive.
So he drove and got it blocked at the end of the half twice. And Michigan State's play at the end of the first half called timeout, and they had a ball screen situation. Hogard with a ball screen over to Walker, knowing that they would get a switch, and they wanted, that was straight from the bench. We're going to do this. They're going to switch. It'll be Tyson Walker against Terrace Reed. Now, fill in the blank, right. And he drove and got the shot blocked. And
he should have shot it. His team,
and that's what he does anyways. His patented thing is the step back three. Against most people.
He doesn't need to step back. He just needs to shoot it. That's not a shot that's going to get blocked. You see it in one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like pro basketball is because that's what you see.
Or you drive against the big guy, get a helper, and you dish it to someone else,
right.
Rather than drive and get it blocked. I don't know. Easy for me to say. I've never driven against Terrace Reed. I don't know for sure.
No, but
Paul.
I'm saying, for a guy that's as good a shooter as he is, and is the go-to scorer on this team, to me, it's you look at one of the differences between some of the teams that Michigan State has played, and you're like. And people are like, how can Storr hit like that? You know why he can hit like that? Because he knows when he's open, he's got to shoot it, or when it's getting to him, he's got to shoot it. And there's a lot of guys on a lot of teams out there that do that. Tyson Walker, great player, high-level scorer, still, in my opinion, too unselfish.
Tonight was not his night, but he helped get it to Akins a few times, too. It was Akins' night. And Akins, with the way he was shooting 7 out of 10 from three-point range, 23 points, career high. And with Akins, that carried over to defense. He had a little more juice on defense. He
Especially in the
had a little
second
more burst, a little bit more, just a little more quick twitch to him. Hey, give us a thumbs up if you like the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Also go to SpartanMag.com. Become a subscriber. $1 for a month of coverage. You'll like it. Check it out, SpartanMag.com. Akins. Akins, they needed Akins to shoot like that with the way Michigan was shooting. Akins helped keep it a single-digit deficit and waiting for Michigan to come back down to earth a little bit. Of course, you're not going to get 7 out of 10 from long range from Akins every single night. His last 2 games, he was a little bit off the mark from three-point range. I think he was 2 out of 12 from three-point range in the previous 2 games coming into this. Prior to that, he had a nice streak of 45+% three-point shooting. Today, the ones that I was really impressed with were when he would spot up when other action was going on and his teammates would find him. The one time when Tyson Walker drove baseline, got knocked off balance, showed the balance of Barry Sanders. I don't know how
I told you, I've never seen.
He was going down. He was going down.
Any guy looked like he was going to travel. He looked like he was stretching up for the goal line.
He looked like Jason Teague. Remember when that guy had great balance? So he keeps his balance and finds Akins right here, and he hits that three-pointer. Every time Akins was alone, boom, it was going down. I really like the one in transition.
It was a huge play, too.
When Michigan State had that 14-4 run early in the first half, that's what gave Michigan State, I think, the 10-point lead at 49-39. Transition, and it was full blast fast break, fast. And the way he set his feet at a high rate of speed, went straight up
and hit it.
Yeah, it was. That was like, and he was thinking shot the whole time. As he gets it, sets his feet. That was like lethal transition three-point range. That's a good comparison. We've seen him shoot well this year, here and there, in transition here and there. I don't think we've ever seen him do it at 100 miles an hour like that, and do it, fundamentally wonderful at a high rate of speed, which doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, the mechanics on that were great. And the reason I mentioned Bryn Forbes is because it is so hard to – I mean, everyone's like, oh, you get a transition 3, it's easy. But when you do it at 1,000,000 miles an hour and you can still maintain that straight up and down, that's an explosive play. If he can continue doing stuff like that's huge for his own personal development and his game. But I'll tell you, again, the hustle plays, and he had a couple tough layups. And don't discount the fact that he's an in-state kid. There's not a lot of in-state kids on this roster because their talent in Michigan hasn't been, well, it's debatable, right? I could put together a team of players from Michigan, and it'd be pretty dang good. Ty Rodgers being one of them. The same thing with John Blackwell over at Wisconsin. But on this Michigan State team, there's 2 in-state kids. There's Carson Cooper, and there's Jaden Akins. And Jaden Akins played with the edge. He's had some, I can think of some games in the past where he's played against Michigan where he's amped up and maybe he didn't have the game that he wanted, but I could tell during the warm-ups when he came out, he had a little bit of edge to him, and it showed. And kudos to him. I'm happy for him. He's a good kid that wants to play well on both ends of the floor, and he did that tonight.
You mentioned earlier the fast break when Cooper went in, rim run center. That's what Michigan State's done in this system for a long time. That was not in the blitz as a regular transition, but he ran the rim, and Hogard got it to him. Hogard and Cooper didn't hook up on that screen roll error earlier in the game, but Hogard, 50-foot pass, looking for him, and Carson Cooper doesn't always have the best hands, gets it and finishes it and dunks it. The rim-running center is something that's been a staple of Michigan State basketball for years and years. Haven't seen much of it this year for various reasons. Right. Cooper with the hands, maybe Sissoko has some speed, maybe not all the speed, but they found it there.
Part of it's point guard. AJ does not.
You got to trust that center there, too.
You got to trust him, but you got to throw it right, too. And AJ, a lot of this stuff, the over-the-top stuff, he doesn't throw it as well as some Michigan State point guards we've seen in the past. Just like I don't think he throws the lob passes at the rim very well. I think it's some of that touch pass stuff. The guys are good at different things. He does a really nice job of penetrating, using that strength and the ability off the dribble to find guys, and he gets it to them in really good positions. Sometimes he doesn't have that Denzel Valentine over-the-top passing skill, and maybe it has to do with trust in your bigs, but that was a nice play by Cooper. That was a nice play by Hogard, and there was a lot of nice plays tonight. Tom Izzo mentioned that everybody contributed in some way, and I would agree with him. Yeah. But it's
Trey Holloman doing his thing again.
Yeah, but he's got to get. He's doing a nice job with some of the short stuff, some of the drives to the basket. He's doing a good job as a passer, and he's pretty good on loosey-goosey type scramble plays and making plays. He played with the edge tonight. I still think he's got a higher ceiling as a defender. I think he's learning, and he can hit open shots. We've seen him do that this year, but that's a really, really, really good guy to have coming off the bench.
1 for 1 from three-point range again. He's comfortably over 40% for the year. I didn't see that coming. He's around 45% now. 2 assists, no turnovers again. 13 minutes, very efficient. And he's a head cheerleader on the bench, too. He's the first guy up, trying to get the crowd excited. He's into it. Trey Holloman's a plus for this team.
And he is a guy that I believe that his teammates respect him enough, and he's edgy enough where he will get into you if you're doing something wrong and he sees it.
He's getting there. He's still just a young sophomore.
I know, but it's not a negative type energy. Mm-hmm. It's not a guy that you have to train to be positive with his negative energy.
Do you see Jackson Kohler getting a little quicker? I'm looking for it. He's jumping well, and he's showed some strength. He played a little bully ball tonight. His straight line speed is okay. I'm looking for the lateral movement, and I'm undecided. I don't know if it's getting better.
I will tell you against Maryland, this Michigan team with their bigs, their plotters, and I don't think there's anybody on Michigan, with the exception of maybe Kamwafi, who's matched up on him. But the way they play ball, I don't think the lateral stuff shows up. Now against Julian Reese and that stuff, we'll see what happens then.
And he did a good job with some loose ball situations and had a nice conversion there with a little short hook underneath. Played about 10 or 11 minutes. They can get some points from him if he can stay on the court. There's not a lot of minutes to go around at the center position. There's only 40 minutes between 3 players. I know Cooper's playing some 4 at this stage, but Kohler had active straight line speed and verticality today. Where the lateral movement comes in is ball screen defense, getting out on a guard and getting back to your man while you get some tag help behind you. If you don't get that against some teams, they'll run you off the court on those things. If he can, I'm looking to see if it's there, and if it's there, they can use his offense too, because that would be an element that they've not had this year. But he's got to stay on the court with the defense. So Booker comes in, banks a 3-pointer in, made some mistakes. Izzo got on him about some things. Michigan hit a 3-pointer, and Booker was the guy catching some heat on that one. I assume there was an assignment problem there. So Izzo's still trying to, keep his pillows fluffed and keep him in it. Got some early minutes. But I still think that the power forward situation's got to be, Carson Cooper playing some 4, but there's some limitations there. Cohen Carr at the 4, that's who was playing the 4 earlier in the year. I realize he's not a natural 4-man, but at 6'5", playing some small ball with him. I don't know. He's got all that horsepower, but defensively sometimes he gets beaten off the dribble, which doesn't make a lot of sense. He had a great blocked shot today on Naquara, which, like Izzo said, one of the best blocked shots he's seen at the Breslin Center. That was at a key moment also that helped ignite Michigan State. But I don't know. Izzo always hates it when people try to coach his team, but I'm thinking, Carr is a guy at the 4. I just think he's got the best chance to be kind of a plus there at some point. I know he makes mistakes, freshman mistakes that need to get cleaned up. But as they try to figure out what they're going to do there, I think he can get some minutes there. That being said, Malik Hall, maybe he can play 30 minutes and be comfortable at 32. No?
I look at him, and one of the things where people are like, why does Malik Hall lack consistency? You watch him in short turnaround situations, and you lose all that physicality. What does Michigan State need at the 4? They're not getting a 3-point shot. So what do they need at the 4? They need rebounding. Xavier Booker cannot rebound. I'm sorry, he can't rebound. He lucked into a rebound today, but Cohen Carr can rebound, and he can give you some toughness, and he has some athleticism to make up for his mistakes. I think sometimes he gets caught in no man's land. Sometimes he's late on a closeout because he's worried about the guy driving on him today. But that block shot that he had was huge, and he gives you some potential physicality that Michigan State sorely needs. Booker is working, but they got lucky today when he was on the court. There was a play that was a steal that would have been an easy layup. I've never seen anybody leave his feet on Will Cheddar without a shot fake. I'm not trying to be mean to him, but I'm like, did Cheddar just give him a Calvin and Hope head fake?
Calvin what?
Calvin Hope head fake.
Calvin, like you're talking about.
Yeah, Calvin College Division III plotter head fake.
Yeah.
And he left his feet. I don't know.
Cully Carlson head fake.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I've never seen Will Cheddar got Xavier Booker undressed him, and he didn't shot fake at all. And
it was an eyebrow fake.
I looked at Jake Laskawa, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? But he played hard. He he tried today.
Yeah.
But
And he's catching some heat too, and he responds well to it.
But he's going to lose games for Michigan State if that could have easily against a good team. I mean, Michigan State really got lucky that every time Booker's in the game, they're lucky when defensive assignments don't hurt them. Now, to the credit of his teammates, they go extra hard and they try to make up for his lack of rebounding and whatnot. But it's going to hurt Michigan State. And it's going to end up blowing back on Booker. Izzo's going to be upset that they lost the game they shouldn't by putting him in there in the first half. I give him credit for practicing hard. It's good to see him get some minutes. But in terms of if you're trying to get something going so you can help your team this year, Konyndyk the guy, in my opinion, that can give you some of what you need. And it's got to be rebounding because rebounding is the number one flaw of this team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a luxury if you can get them a few minutes and keep developing them as players. Because Izzo has a good track record of having a freshman start coming around like sometime after Valentine's Day.
Have you ever seen – okay, I completely understand what you're saying, and I absolutely agree with you 100%. But I'm thinking of guys in the past that have been freshmen that have contributed. I'm thinking of a Draymond Green. I'm thinking of guys like that. Draymond Green had his basketball IQ out. That was ridiculous. He was out of shape and slow, but he had anticipation. We've seen other guys, Xavier Tillman. I mean, you're looking at guys that were light years ahead of where Booker is in terms of court awareness and understanding of the game. So we can say Izzo's had a track record of freshmen coming on, and I completely agree with you, but not freshmen this raw. I've never seen a freshman this raw come on and make a meaningful impact aside from spot minutes in foul trouble. And I'm thinking of guys like Marcus Bingham and Gabe Brown. Those guys are raw, but in some ways Booker might even be rawer than those guys.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about that. I don't think raw is the right word because he shoots pretty well. Right. I've been reluctant to use the word, but I used it last week. The word is soft. I mean, he's got to learn to play harder, which is the opposite of being soft. He's got to rebound. He's got to, all those things.
And there's a basketball savvy and court awareness thing too.
And I guess that's rawness, I guess. But yeah, knowing where to be. He's late getting places. He's working at it.
See, we didn't have a problem using that with Marcus Bingham, a guy that could shoot threes. And
he couldn't shoot threes like him, like Booker.
He can't shoot threes like Booker, but he did in high school. And I'm saying he had some skill but we still use the word raw because he didn't know what was going on defensively. He knows what was going on defensively more than Booker does, and was more of a rim protector and a better rebounder. I have no problem using the word raw because when I see a guy with tremendous skills, but very little ability to function on the court in a basketball system. So to me, that's raw. He's got potential, he's got skill, but that doesn't translate to the game of basketball at this level quite yet.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go.
I don't think of that as a negative. I don't think of that as a negative thing. I just think it's a process he has to go through.
Yeah.
And he's not where other freshmen have been that have made an impact, in my opinion.
I got you. And he's not the first freshman that has a lot to learn, but you're right. Expecting, big moment play from him against a Wisconsin or a Purdue or even against Maryland on Saturday. That they're gonna have to get that from somewhere else.
Do you want him matching up against Dante Scott?
No, not right now. No. Yeah, and that's going to be a tough game. Maryland's playing well. They had a big win at home against Nebraska. They've won 2 straight, I think. Michigan State was fortunate to get that win down in College Park 2 weeks ago. That Maryland is good. They're playing to try to get in the NCAA tournament. They're hungry for a win. And if Michigan State sleepwalks in the first 10 minutes of this game against Maryland, they're going to have a much harder time trying to come back against them. That game's going to be real on Saturday.
And I don't think they will. I mean, Jameer Young is legit. They know that Maryland's has other weapons, but Michigan State has to be able to. I mean, they can't have a game. They can't have games where they're getting out rebounded and giving up second chance scoring opportunities to teams like Maryland. I think that's the thing. If I was Tom Izzo, I'd be the most disappointed of. You look at some of these high shooting percentages. A lot of that comes to like easy second chance shots after playing pretty good defense, and that also takes away from Tyson Walker's effectiveness as on offense if he has to play double shifts on defense. After playing great defense on Jameer Young, guy misses a shot, get a second set. That doesn't behoove. That's not good for Tyson Walker.
Yeah, and Michigan 13 offensive rebounds on 27 misses, so right there around 50% again. I mean, that's just un-Spartan-like, and they've been emphasizing it, and for Michigan to come in here and get offensive rebounds on close to 50%. back to the drawing board there for Michigan State on a key thing that's not really going to, they're going to work at it, but it's not going to be a plus for them against good teams.
The only guy they have in this team that's capable of getting 10-plus rebounds on a consistent basis, or actually challenging for that, is Mady Sissoko. And, so you can say what you want about him, and I know Malik Hall's had one double-double this year, but he's just as likely to go 2 or 3 or 1 rebound as he is, 10. So like he's got to get 5 to 7. Jaden Akins has got to be good for 4 to 5. Hogard's a guy that you would think he would get some more rebounds, but doesn't always get them. Carson Cooper gets his hands on a lot of balls. He's got to corral them. And they really missed, as much as they missed Joey Hauser's 3-point shooting, they really missed Joey Hauser as a rebounder.
Sure.
Underrated player, underappreciated player, and the deficiencies that he supposedly had, they weren't there last year.
Michigan State did a good job today when Michigan was really doing some hard hedge ball screens, and Michigan State was doing a good job rotating it to moving the ball, reversing the ball to beat their rotations.
Right.
Hagen's got a couple 3-pointers off of that. One time they reversed the ball, got it down low to Sissoko, and he had a clear path on a drop step to the baseline. Easy for me to say up there drinking coffee and getting fat, but he had a clear, drop step to the baseline. He catches it, waits for the defense to recover, and then does a hook shot into the key and misses it.
Right.
And like 20%, maybe 15% of the crowd groaned, because they saw that there was an opening there, and he waited for the defense to recover. Sissoko's doing what he can, but in a situation like that, when you run real good offense and you get something open for somebody, and you didn't really have the court feel to go ahead and deposit that one, so you've already run something that should give you 2 points. Now you're trying to beat the team twice in the same possession when you already hit them beat once. Just things like that. They're not good enough to let those things get away. Can some of those things be learned in film room and improve upon that late in the year? Now a lot of ISO teams get really good late in the year, and people wonder, how did that happen? It's little things like that.
How can you give the guy? You can't. I mean, he's not a great post player to begin with, but you can't give the guy the ball down low when there's no way to pull interior personnel away from the basket. Think about like the Joey Hauser thing when the floor spread. It was a lot easier to get the ball post entry passes into Michigan State bigs. Now, like people don't realize this because they think, oh, this guy's no good. But I would like to see Mady Sissoko or Carson Cooper, this year's version, in last year's offense to see what they could do, because there's
more room.
There's no room, and those guys don't have great hands to begin with, and it's not a good situation. I mean, this half-court offense is predicated on that stretch, and it's not there.
And I got to tell you, I've seen Sissoko earlier in the year in practice and so forth do some nice things with the jump hooks. Like, oh wow, he's got that shot. That's a shot. Wow, but that's I don't know if he's lost confidence in it.
How do you do that? How do you score those baskets? How do you do that in games if you're not consistently getting those shots in games? You don't.
Well, I mean, he'll get 1 or 2 a game, and the people that only see games, they're like, this guy's just no good in the low post. I've seen him do it though. There's something there. We've not seen it in games yet, and if you're a 3 o'clock shooter, that's a problem, of course. There's more there to work with, but we certainly haven't seen it yet. And this team could really benefit from just 1 or 2 James Edwards plays a half. Would mean a lot. I'm not sure it's going to happen. I thought it was, but we're in January and still kind of waiting for that.
It's not going to happen unless there's more room in there, and there's not going to be more room in there unless.
But even like on that hook shot, he had room.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like in practice, he gets a good lift on that. I know he's going against a real defender there, but I've seen him do it against Cooper in practice and others. Like in a real 5-on-5 situation, down low makes it. I'm talking like earlier in the year, not so much lately, but they'll keep working on him too. And every little bit they're going to need with the schedule. I'm not saying the schedule is really hard, but it's challenging. And in the Big Ten, everybody loses to everybody. You're going to go at Michigan, at Penn State here the next few weeks. Got Illinois coming in. You got Maryland coming in. It's going to be real tough. Michigan State's 5-5 in the Big Ten, trying to get above 500 in the Big Ten. You think Michigan State's an NCAA tournament team?
Yeah, I do. I mean, shoot, you look at like Ken Pom and that type of stuff. It's easy to look at what they didn't do at Wisconsin. I mean, Big Ten road teams are losing 75% of their games this year. I mean, come on. I mean, we talk about this crap every year. Can they win on the road? I didn't think, you and I both the other night didn't think they could win on the road at Wisconsin. So are they going to win?
Wisconsin's good. Michigan State's okay, but also Michigan State just does not match up well with Wisconsin.
Right.
They don't have someone to guard Storr, first of all.
they don't have someone to guard Sore, but it comes down to rebounding.
Rebounding's a problem.
That's the problem. And I don't understand how like they rebound well against Illinois when they played them, but
I don't get that either.
I mean, it's
Illinois. Now Shannon didn't play that day. Illinois sometimes is a little bit on and off switch a little bit.
But Shannon's
also,
on and off
Hepburn's a real good defender. That matches up well against Walton. All those things. Wisconsin's pretty good against Michigan State. Can Wisconsin do damage in March this year? That's going to be interesting to see. This Saturday, got two teams trying to get to March. Michigan State and Maryland's going to be a real basketball game here on Saturday, Paul.
Yeah.
You ready?
I mean, you look at Wisconsin, though. I hate to say this about Malik Hall, but the entire sinking game, they're daring him to shoot threes, and he's driving into the teeth of their defense, into their 7-footers, and getting turned away. To win, you have to be able to even if you're not good at it, you've got what they give you, and you have to take that shot. And I don't like understand at this stage why there's a hesitancy to do so. If that's your bet, even if you're a 35%, 30% three-point shooter, I'll take my chances shooting an open three versus driving into double team.
Yeah. Was that the game that Izzo said he thought guys were driving in too much and getting snuffed and getting blocked, and he wanted more drive and kick? And I think the Michigan State did have a little more drive and kick against Wisconsin, didn't make them, but maybe I'm getting the games mixed up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they'll be on the film with Malik, and they're going to pump confidence in him and tell him they're going to need one or two of those three-pointers in each game, and he works on them after practice. So he's putting the work in. They'll get in the film. They'll try to get him confident to take those shots. Remains to be seen whether they can get that Kenny Goins level of three-point shooting.
They're going to get Kenny Goins from him, but they got to be able to get.
Now he's shooting about 30% from three. What did Kenny shoot his senior year? 34 maybe?
I don't know what he shot overall, but I know he got progressively better to the point where by the end of the year,
and he was confident in it.
There's a difference between three-point shooting percentage and what a guy's doing at the end of the year. Like Goran Sutan, like when he was when he came on at the end of the year, he was good. Like Lorbeck, or you think of all the guys, like it's not what you shoot at the beginning of the year; it's what you do at the end of the year. And by the end of Kenny Goins' time at Michigan State, I knew that thing was going in when it came off his hands. And
absolutely hit the big one to beat Duke in the Elite Eight. So. As Michigan State goes along, at some point they're going to be playing good defenses that'll take Walker away, that'll keep Hogarth out of the lane.
And take transition away. That's another thing Wisconsin does a great job at.
And the ball will end up in the hands of the soft underbelly, as Rick Majerus used to say, and that's Malik Hall, shooting from range, and we'll see if that can come to the forefront in a key situation later in the year. Michigan State still trying to get their crap together. 31 games, get your crap together. It's not together yet, but today they looked good in spurts again against a team that kind of quit on them, and we'll learn more as we go. Anything else, Paul? For Paul Konyndyk, my name is Jim Comparoni. I've been watching the VCast with the Spartans here in East Lansing at the Breslin Center for SpartanMag.com.